Meanwhile, fighting rages in Syria's eastern Ghouta as regime forces continue to bombard the rebel-held enclave. The death toll has risen to 250 in 2 days of bombardment in eastern Ghouta. Held by rebel forces since 2012, eastern Ghouta is the last opposition stronghold around capital Damascus. President Bashar al-Assad has sent reinforcements to rebel-held areas in an apparent effort to recapture the town. The Syrian opposition has said the attacks on the rebel pockets of eastern Ghouta is an act of war crime. Meanwhile, the US has asked on all parties to adopt a one-month ceasefire in eastern Ghouta.
What's happening in Ghouta is a war crime. International law is very clear on the matter. But in Syria, the implementation of international law doesn't exist. It is difficult for our people inside Syria to understand how come no one is coming to their protection despite the use of chemical weapons, barrel bombs, and the siege and starvation policy of the regime. All international red lines have been crossed by the regime, but yet there is no accountability.
We call on all parties to commit to the unconditional de-escalation of violence. Russia must end its support of the Assad regime and its allies. They're responsible for the attacks, for the dire humanitarian situation in East Ghouta, and for the horrendous civilian death toll. The United States supports the United Nations' demand for a month-long cessation of violence to allow for the unfettered delivery of humanitarian supplies and the urgent medical evacuation of civilians in East Ghouta. The cessation of violence must begin now, and those needing emergency assistance should be allowed to evacuate.